Hello, and welcome to USA Weekly News Plus, the only news program brave enough to call it Plus, even though we have no idea what that means. It's probably just a marketing ploy, like those 99-cent signs you see everywhere. Before we delve into the news, remember to subscribe, like, share, comment, and click that notification bell. Check out the links in the description below for everything from tactical turtlenecks to pre-prepped arguments for Thanksgiving. Enough self-promotion. Let's get down to the real reason you're here, to find out just how much worse things can get.
Well, folks, it seems like just yesterday we were finally putting the last election to bed. And by putting to bed, I mean stuffing it in the back of the closet and hoping it doesn't start smelling. And yet, here we are again, staring down the barrel of the 2024 presidential election. On the Republican side, it's like a bizarre reality show where the prize is even more terrifying than the contestants. The Democrats, on the other hand, seem to be operating under the assumption that simply not being the other guys is enough to secure victory. And speaking of things that are both terrifying and confusing, let's not forget about the swing states. Like a political game of let's make a deal where the prizes are our fundamental rights. Well, folks, it's that time of year again, when we all gather around our televisions, not for the latest episode of whatever soulless reality show is currently polluting the airwaves, but for the thrilling spectacle that is hurricane season. Dust off those emergency kits, stock up on canned goods, and prepare for torrential rain and howling winds. This year, forecasters predict a particularly active season with a higher chance of Category 4 and 5 storms. Remember, just 6 inches of moving water can knock you off your feet, and 2 feet can sweep away most vehicles. Stay away from any bodies of water that look even remotely angry. For those in hurricane-prone areas, now might be a good time to invest in flood insurance.
All right, let's talk about the economy, because apparently that's something we do now. It's like trying to predict the weather in a hurricane, except the hurricane is made of confusing economic indicators, and the only meteorologist is a magic 8-ball. First up, inflation. Remember when we all became amateur economists arguing about the price of eggs? Well, get ready for round 2, because while inflation has cooled slightly, it's still more persistent than that friend who just won't stop talking about their sourdough starter. And then there's the job market, which is somehow both strong and shaky, like a newborn giraffe trying to find its footing. We're adding jobs, sure, but the growth is slowing, and frankly, nobody knows what any of it means. Are we heading for a recession? Well, the stock market is about as stable as a toddler on a sugar rush, so who knows? It's enough to make you want to bury your money in the backyard. Except with inflation, you'd probably just be planting a very expensive tree.
Over in Hollywood, the writers' strike is still going strong, and they've been joined by the actors, which means we're one step closer to watching a reality show about studio executives trying to write and act in their own movies. Spoiler alert, it would be a disaster. Negotiations seem to be going about, as well as a conversation with a chatbot that's been programmed exclusively on insults and Shakespearean sonnets. The studios, meanwhile, are claiming poverty, which, if true, would be the least convincing performance from a multi-billion-dollar industry ever. The ripple effects of this strike are being felt far beyond Hollywood. Late-night shows are dark, productions are shut down, and that one guy who dresses up as Batman on Hollywood Boulevard is starting to look a little too realistic. Will they reach a deal soon? Who knows? But in the meantime, maybe this is the perfect opportunity to catch up on all those foreign films you've been meaning to watch, or just re-watch The Office for the 10th time.
And finally, let's talk about something that's somehow both predictable and shocking. Big tech is in trouble again. It's like finding out your goldfish has a gambling problem. You're surprised, sure, but also it kind of tracks. This time, it's the government coming after them with antitrust lawsuits, which is really just a fancy way of saying, look, we let you get away with a lot, but this is getting ridiculous. Google's search dominance is under fire. Meta is facing legal battles left and right. And don't even get me started on the congressional hearings about AI and privacy. It's a tangled web of algorithms, data harvesting, and enough legal jargon to make your head spin. But at the heart of it all is a simple question. Are these tech giants too big? And if so, are we finally going to do something about it? The answer, my friends, is about as clear as the terms and conditions you blindly agree to every time you download a new app.
Gun control in America. It's like trying to herd particularly well-armed cats. This week we've got a fresh batch of legislative lasagna to digest, layered with everything from proposed background checks that'll make you say, well, that's reasonable, to Supreme Court challenges that'll leave you wondering if they got their law degrees from a crackerjack box. Of course, it wouldn't be a gun control debate without the usual suspects screaming about the Second Amendment like it's a magical incantation that makes all logic disappear. Meanwhile, the rest of us are left wondering if maybe, just maybe, we could find a way to balance the right to bear arms with the right to, not be accidentally shot in the face during a trip to the grocery store. And let's not forget the inevitable wave of public reactions and protests. Because in America, nothing says political discourse like a good old-fashioned shouting match where everyone leaves angrier than when they arrive. But hey, at least we're having a conversation, right? Even if that conversation sounds an awful lot like a scene from a Michael Bay film, only with fewer explosions and more poorly informed opinions.
Well, folks, the robots are here. Not just the ones that clean your gutters or steal your job. I'm talking about AI and the Wild West of regulation. This week, we're diving into proposed AI regulation, politicians wrangling algorithms that write symphonies and diagnose diseases. It's like watching a Roomba try to navigate an escape room, and the job displacement anxieties. AI might create new jobs, but robot therapist? Amidst the doom, there are glimmers of hope. AI breakthroughs could revolutionize medicine and education.
The Supreme Court. That hallowed institution where 9 robed figures decide the fate of a nation with all the subtlety of a gavel to a piñata. This week, we've got a veritable buffet of legal hot potatoes on the docket, from affirmative action challenges that'll make your head spin to abortion laws that'll have you reaching for the antacids. It's enough to make you wonder if maybe, just maybe, we've entrusted the future of our country to a group of people who spend a little too much time thinking about the founding fathers and not enough time thinking about, the actual citizens living in the 21st century. And let's not forget the First Amendment cases, because apparently in America, the right to free speech includes the right to say incredibly stupid and offensive things with absolutely no consequences. So buckle up, Buttercup, because it's about to get bumpy. The Supreme Court is in session and they've got a whole lot of decisions to make that will undoubtedly leave half the country cheering and the other half wondering how we ended up with a legal system that seems determined to drag us back to the Stone Age. Right, so moving from the gridiron to, well, a different kind of gridiron. The one where the earth itself seems to be saying, oh, you like grilling? Hold my beer. Wildfires continue to rage across the globe because apparently Mother Nature's midlife crisis involves becoming a pyromaniac. And it's not just the fires themselves, oh no, it's the choking smoke, the displaced communities, and the ever-present feeling that we're all living in a Michael Bay film minus the heroic Bruce Willis quips. Meanwhile, our dear politicians are hard at work, by which I mean some are proposing environmental policies that make about as much sense as a screen door on a submarine, while others are denying climate change altogether. Presumably because they've confused scientific consensus with a waiter asking if anyone wants appetizers. It's enough to make you want to sue an oil company, which, speaking of, is exactly what some people are doing, because when even the lawyers are breaking out the fire extinguishers, things are heating up.
Well, folks, it's that time of year again, when we collectively pretend to understand what offsides means and embrace the comforting smell of lukewarm nachos. That's right, football is back. The NFL season kicks off, and I'm sure this year will be completely devoid of any controversial calls, questionable officiating, or catastrophic injuries. And what's football without a little wagering on the side? The sports betting boom continues, because apparently nothing says I'm a responsible adult like betting your life savings on whether a kicker, who's probably hungover from a week of pre-season partying, can make a 40-yard field goal. Oh, And let's not forget about college football, where the drama is less about the games themselves and more about which powerhouse program is currently under NCAA investigation. It's like a soap opera, but instead of dramatic music. There's just the constant drone of commentators yelling about student athletes while boosters exchange briefcases full of cash in the background. But hey, at least it's a distraction from the impending climate apocalypse, right?
And that, my friends, is just a taste of the chaos that awaits us all next week. It's like the news cycle is stuck in a loop, endlessly repeating the same themes of political dysfunction, environmental catastrophe, and the crushing realization that the robot uprising is probably just around the corner. But hey, at least we've got football, right? And lawsuits against oil companies, and the faint glimmer of hope that maybe, just maybe, humanity won't completely screw things up before the week is over. So, thanks for joining us for another thrilling installment of USA Weekly News Plus. Don't forget to subscribe, share with your friends or enemies we don't judge, and like and leave us a comment below. We especially enjoy reading the ones where you correctly predict the next global crisis. Check the description for all sorts of fun stuff, including affiliate links that help keep the lights on in this digital dumpster fire we call a show. And most importantly, stay informed, stay engaged, and for the love of all that is holy, stay hydrated. We're all in this together, folks, whether we like it or not.